Okay, so here's a question that I think like half the people I know are dealing with right now. You meet someone, there's a real connection, but they tell you, or you can just feel it, they're emotionally unavailable. But they're trying, they're in therapy, they're doing the work. Do you stay?
So the short answer for me is, it depends entirely on what trying actually looks like, because I think people use that word to cover a massive spectrum.
That's fair, but I actually think yes, you should give it a shot. And here's why. Basically, everyone is a little emotionally unavailable. That's not a binary thing.
I'd push back on that. There's a difference between someone who's a bit guarded at first and someone who fundamentally cannot meet your emotional needs. Those are not the same category.
Okay, sure. But the question isn't about someone who can't ever do it. It's about someone who's actively working on it. That matters.
Does it, though? Because here's the thing. Attachment theory research shows that insecure attachment styles, avoidant ones especially, are remarkably stable over a lifetime. Like they can shift, but the research says it takes years, not months.
Wait, years? Like how many years are we talking?
There's a longitudinal study from the University of Illinois that tracked attachment styles over decades. About 70% of people maintained the same attachment style from adolescence into adulthood. Change is possible, but it's the exception, not the rule.
70%. Okay, that's a real number. But that also means 30% of people did change. That's not nothing.
Right, right. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying the odds aren't great, and you have to ask yourself what you're signing up for while you wait.
But isn't that kind of what love is? Taking a bet on someone like nobody comes fully assembled?
Sure, but there's a difference between accepting someone's quirks and accepting that your core emotional needs might not be met for an indefinite period of time. That's not a quirk. That's a structural issue.
Okay, I hear you. But I think, and this is where I get a little passionate about it, I think we've created this culture where people are supposed to arrive perfect, fully healed, no baggage, and that's not real.
No, I actually agree with you there. The "you have to love yourself before you can love anyone else" thing is kind of toxic in its own way.
Yes, thank you. Because sometimes people heal in the context of a relationship. Having someone who's safe and patient can literally be the thing that helps them open up.
That's true, and therapists actually talk about that. A secure partner can be what's called a corrective emotional experience. It can genuinely rewire how someone relates to intimacy.
See? So it's not just wishful thinking. There's actual science behind the idea that your patience could matter.
But wait, and this is the part nobody wants to hear, that only works if the person doing the waiting doesn't destroy themselves in the process.
What do you mean?
I mean the anxious avoidant trap. If you're someone with an anxious attachment style, dating an avoidant person who's trying is like emotional quicksand. The more you reach, the more they pull back, and you both end up worse.
Okay, that's a really good point. So it's not just about them, it's about who you are in the equation.
Exactly. If you're securely attached and you have strong boundaries, you might be fine being patient. But if you're the kind of person who's going to lose sleep wondering why they didn't text back, this will eat you alive.
That's wild because it basically means the people who are most drawn to emotionally unavailable partners are the ones least equipped to handle it.
Yeah, that's kind of the cruel irony of attachment theory.
All right, so let me reframe my position then. I still think you should give it a chance, but, and this is key, you need to set a timeline. Not an ultimatum, but like an internal checkpoint.
A timeline. Okay, I'm listening.
Like 3 months in, 6 months in, you ask yourself honestly, is there actual progress? Not perfection. Progress. Are they showing up more? Are the hard conversations getting even a little easier?
I actually don't hate that, because one of the biggest mistakes people make is they measure the other person's effort by their intentions instead of their behavior.
Wait, say more about that.
Like, someone says, "I'm working on it," and that feels good to hear. But are they actually in therapy? Are they reading that book? Can they sit with you when you're upset without shutting down or leaving the room? Words are cheap.
Behavior over intention. Yeah, that's the litmus test right there.
And I think the other thing people don't talk about enough is that trying has to be for themselves, not for you. If they're only doing it to keep you from leaving, that's not growth, that's performance.
Ooh, that one stings because I think a lot of people have been on both sides of that.
Absolutely.
But here's where I'll disagree with you again. I don't think the motivation has to be perfectly pure at the start. Sometimes you start changing for someone else, and then it becomes for yourself. That's a valid path.
Hmm, that's actually a fair point. I've seen that happen. I just think it's the exception and people bank on it being the rule.
Maybe. But I'd rather be someone who gave it a real shot and it didn't work than someone who walked away from something that could have been incredible because it was messy at first.
And I'd rather protect my peace and find someone who's already at a point where they can meet me where I am, and I don't think either of us is wrong.
Right, right. It's almost like the answer is less about the other person and more about your own capacity. Like, how much bandwidth do you actually have?
That's it. That's the real question. Not, are they worth it, but can I sustain this without losing myself?
And if the answer is yes, and you're seeing real behavioral change, not just words, then yeah, I think you stay.
And if the answer is no, or if 6 months in you're still having the same conversation about the same wall they keep putting up, you leave. And that's not giving up. That's self-respect.
I think we actually landed somewhere together on this.
Yeah, it's not a yes or no question. It's a know yourself question, and honestly, that might be the hardest part of the whole thing.
Knowing yourself is always the hardest part. That's like the sequel to every relationship problem ever.
The sequel nobody asked for, but everyone needs.